Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Covington City Council meeting for Tuesday, November 25th. In compliance with state law, City Council special and regular meetings will be held in a hybrid format with in-person, telephonic, and virtual options for public viewing and participation. With that, we'll call this meeting to order. And Krista, if you'd like to please call the roll.
Councilmember Soltis.
I'm here.
Councilmember Porter.
Here.
Councilmember Hartsock.
Here.
Councilmember Harjahausen.
Present.
Councilmember Samomo.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Here.
Mayor Wagner.
Here.
We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. And just to let everybody know, Mayor Pro Tem Smith is joining us virtually tonight. If everybody could please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Next is approval of agenda. Regan, do we have any changes tonight?
No changes, Mayor.
Thank you. Look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The agenda has been approved. Looking at reports of commissions, Economic Development Council. I don't see anybody. How about Youth Council? Do we have anybody online for Youth Council? If there is, raise your hand. And I just lost everything.
Sorry about that.
Oh, there we are. Arts Commission. Do we have any reports from Arts Commission tonight? Equity, Cultural, and Social Justice Commission. Human Services Commission. I know there's no Parks and Recreation Commission tonight. How about Planning Commission? Do we have anybody for Planning Commission? All right. That concludes our extensive list of commission reports. Yeah.
End of year.
I didn't hear anybody yell bingo, so. We have no public communication tonight. So we'll move into our first of two public comment periods. And if somebody does sign up to give up reports of commissions, we'll go to them. But right now I don't see anybody. Public comment. Speakers will state their name, organization, and whether they are a Covington resident. Comments are directed to City Council, not the audience or staff. Comments are to be related to city business. Comments are not intended for conversation or debate and are limited to 4 minutes per speaker. For attendees participating by Zoom, click the raise hand button. For attendees participating by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand. Once the city grants permission to speak, press unmute in Zoom or dial *6 to unmute by phone. Please note, campaigning for any ballot measure or candidates at City Hall or during City Council meetings, including public comment, is prohibited by state law RCW 42.17a.555. Seeing that, I see Andrew. Yeah, come right up to the podium. Just state your name and whether you're a resident or not.
I'm Andrew Bartsch. I'm a resident at 27047 200th Avenue Southeast. I noticed on the business today, the new business, that you'll be speaking to the Easy Fiber franchise agreement. So I read through the agreement and the packet that was provided online. Thank you for that. I did see some additional items maybe to consider that I did not see particularly in the thing. I provided also my comments just before the meeting started to the city clerk, so they're available for review after. Here are the comments. Anti-skid manhole covers is one to maybe consider. I know some carriers and some other municipalities that have asked to have the manhole covers changed out to anti-skid for human life safety and, you know, out there on the streets. Item number 2, I'm just briefly going to touch on all these. I did see that there was talk about cleaning of the facility where the carrier would provide their services, but I didn't see specifically maybe a site weed abatement schedule. Blackberry bushes will grow wherever they grow, right? So I threw that there. Number three, I didn't see anything on signage, the need for maybe a city standard. I know that fiber outages when they occur are very costly. So signage would be something to consider. Number four, fiber restoration priority. Again, going back to that human life safety, might have a plan in there for fiber restoration priority, especially if the customers are of a healthcare nature or fire or something like that in the city. Number five, outage reporting management. The proposed franchisee. I did not see a very like some other carriers, they'll use a map system for outages, maybe to prevent a number of calls to the city when an outage does occur. Have some kind of map reporting or something that reports the outage within the city area. Everybody wants to know when the power goes out, similar to when the fiber goes out. Number six, residential construction notification. That's kind of simple and self-explanatory. I didn't see anything really called out there on if there's any days or notifications ahead of time. And then number seven, with franchisee agreements, I've noticed in the past that cities have the opportunity, and there are some that are listed to ask for things, and maybe to ask for fiber connectivity taps to city locations, such as like City Hall, a maintenance location, and an emergency backup location, should there be an issue with, the primary facilities. And then the only other thing I noticed is maybe just get a clarification, maybe needed on site for the site and asset ownership between Lumen and the Easy Fiber once their transaction completes. There was some verbiage on the ownership, but as that report comes up later on in the business, that's all I have. So
Great. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here tonight. Is there anybody else wishing to address council this evening? Is there anybody online wishing to address council? Please raise your hand. And we do have a public hearing shortly to discuss the proposed 2026 budget. So if you're here to speak to that, that'll happen during the public hearing. Seeing nobody else approach the podium or to raise their hand, we'll close this first of two public comment periods, and we'll have a second one towards the end of our meeting. Next is approval of the consent agenda consisting of items C1 through C9. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda has been approved. Next is, we'll move into our public hearing.
Mayor,
Yes,
I see Dom in there now that might be
Oh.
here for the planning commission if we wanted to.
Domin, are you here to give a planning commission update?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, in our last meeting, we discussed about getting to the consents of the chapter 13.10 CMC sewer and water services. And then planning commission updated the rules of procedure that was discussed and agreed by the commission. And everyone did the gratitude with the staff and commission on the overall yearly accomplishments. And we look forward for a strong 2026 and meeting with the council early next year. That's all.
Great. Thank you, Domin. I really appreciate you being here tonight. Does council have any questions for Domin about planning commission? No questions tonight. Thank you, Domin.
Thank you and happy Thanksgiving to all of you.
And to you as well. Thank you. Is there anybody else joining us remotely for commission updates? I don't see anybody else. Thank you, Regan. So we'll move into our public hearing tonight. Tonight we have a public hearing to receive testimony from the public regarding the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget. This is the second of two public hearings. This being the date set and proper notices having been posted and published in accordance with state and local law. The public hearing is hereby declared open. And Casey, do you have any updates?
Thank you, Mayor Council. Formal presentation for this hearing. Again, like you mentioned, it is the second of two hearings on the budget. So this is our final hearing. I'm open to going through the potential cuts list that Regan had emailed out, or the forecast, or any other things that you'd like to see after the hearing is closed.
Great. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
The ground rules for public comment during the public hearing are as follows. When your name is called, step up to the microphone, give your name and state whether you're a resident of the city of Covington. Please limit your comments to 4 minutes. City clerk will set a timer that will go off when your time is up. When the timer goes off, please wind up promptly. Is there anybody in the audience wishing to address the 2026 proposed budget? Is there anybody online wishing to address council concerning the 2026 proposed budget? Please raise your hand. All right, seeing nobody approach the podium and nobody raise their hand, I'll declare this public hearing closed. And I will open it up to council if they have any questions. Anybody have any questions tonight? Beth, did you have anything you wanted to bring up?
Yes. So at last council meeting, I kind of just took a quick stab at cut suggestions just to kind of get the conversation started. And also staff did their version of it as well to give back to us to review. And here, grab my copy. So I think one of the things that that I had a question about, and I'm not sure what other conversations have transpired email wise between staff and council. One of the questions that I had was about the records and storage management offsite. The staff time to offset the actual storage, it wasn't going to be worth it because that's one of the, I think it's only 4,600. But and also some of the professional services, just making sure that if we reduce those professional services, would it increase the workload for staff? And is that going to offset any? And I know you may have already thought about that when you gave us that figure, and so that just looking for clarification there. And I know those were some of the questions that were still lingering. I don't know if there's an answer for that.
Krista, did you want to speak to the records?
Yes, so staff has been working on digitizing records, and so this is part of our plan for the next couple of years. This would just kind of move that plan up a little bit earlier, but we are already working on digitizing records. We would be having some of the kind of more entry-level staff to do the scanning. So that's where you're talking about the offset of staff costs. But the idea is just to remove the storage, the offsite storage from the budget going forward. Once we move those 80-some boxes back to City Hall, then we would no longer have that line item.
But there would be some increased staff time to make that happen that we didn't have planned, but it's something we could absorb.
Okay.
And then professional services, really that just means there's certain things we wouldn't be able to do or go out for, but we think it's manageable and that's why we put it on there.
Okay.
Anything else?
I think that's it for right now. I'll let other folks.
Anybody else? Debbie?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you for coming up with the list of proposed cuts. And I know that it's always hard to kind of look at how could we do this differently. Some are internal, but so many of these are community facing. And when I think about, you know, what our community will see and miss, it makes me not want to make any cuts. I know that we have to do something, but in kind of talking through this a little bit with a couple of you, I'm wondering if we may not have enough good information right now at this point in time to make decisions about making these cuts. So for instance, the B&O tax that we implemented a year ago, we don't have the full year of that view. We'll know more. We'll know more what our sales tax looks like and REIT and all of the heavy hitters in our revenue. We'll know that by the end of Q4. Right now, we only have through the end of Q3, and it looks like things are trending up. In almost every revenue category, we are above budget, and in every expense category, almost every expense category, we are below budget. So those are all great signs that we could end this year in a much better shape than what we can really truly see right now. With that, I think my suggestion would be that we wait to decide what cuts are necessary until we have that full view. Even if that means we have to ratify the budget in 2 weeks as is, knowing that we may have to go back and modify. This would be my first time having been involved where we have to do a ratification and then go back and make an amendment, but it sounds like it is procedurally an option. That's just where I'm leaning, and I will not be so inclined to want to cut things that are community facing, because those are the things like the park pop-ups and I could probably say we could eliminate the superhero meet and greet. And a couple of things that I like, the Cheeto art. Now the school's doing that, so we could probably save a few $1,000s here and there. Collectively, to get to this over 3,000 means taking some cuts away from the community, that those are the things they count on. So those are my 2 cents worth for right now. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Christina.
Sure.
Oh, and then Sean.
Oh, thank you. I guess I had one question before I also state my opinion. Because one of the larger ticket items is removing or reducing wetland critical area park maintenance. How much does, the 33,000 reduce? And is that something we can catch up on later? Because like someone pointed out, blackberry bushes will grow wherever they want to grow. And they certainly favor that, but not only that. And I just don't want to be shooting ourselves in the foot for future years. Do we know?
Yeah, we do, and that's something we considered. Don, do you want to address that?
Yeah, I can address that. So we would still obviously are obligated to maintain those. So yes, we would still be doing that. As we've been getting reports, meaning that we go out and evaluate how well they're doing, and we get those reports back. Then we evaluate whether we can take care of it or whether we need to go out for a contract. So lately it's been where we have been able to take care of it and not have had to do a contract. So that's where we felt like that was the reason why we felt that could be absorbed based on historically, well, I should say in the last few years has been. So, that's why it was there. We still have to utilize our maintenance guys and go in there and do work and stuff like that. So it does take, staff time to do that, but that's something that we felt like could be done in this situation.
Okay. Well, if that's something we can absorb, we should just do it just because, regardless of a police officer. However, and we talk about, leveling up our park maintenance and just presentation of everything. So removing mulch from parks is, I don't know, it's doing the opposite of what we talk about. There are a lot of pennies in the drop. Those pennies, unfortunately, are very stretched when it comes to our community. Like Debbie said, they look forward to that. Unfortunately, they're a penny in the drop or in the bucket of the police fund, but they go a lot further when it comes to the ROI with our residents. I know cuts have to be made if they have to be made, but I wouldn't like to see things made cuts made that directly affect the quality of life for our residents. And I too think we would have, I know it's our due diligence to, you know, to provide safety, public safety and peace of mind for our residents, which potentially an officer could do that, but it is also our job to do it strategically, to do it with wisdom and to do it at the right time. I don't believe that we have just all the information, all the numbers in yet, and I too would like to wait, not kicking the can down to next year. It's just around the corner, but like 12 months down the line, but just until we have more clarity. I would like to see that decision made then. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Apologize for not being there tonight, but appreciate the opportunity to do this remotely. Casey, can you clarify for me? I think I heard you say at the last meeting that we could do a budget amendment soon after the new year if revenues come in higher or lower. Can you explain that process? And
Sure.
then I'm gonna have a follow-up after that. Go ahead.
So we can do a budget amendment at any point in the year that if we need to. We do an annual one every year in December to kind of clean up the whole year if I need to make any changes. So if for instance, you left the budget as is and next year wanted to add a police officer, I'd bring in a budget amendment back, adding that police officer to the base budget, adding that additional sales tax if we choose to implement the that public safety sales tax 2015, or conversely, adding back, if we do cuts now, I could come back first quarter next year after the books are closed, we could add those things back in through a budget amendment, that type of thing. I wouldn't even need to really bring it back first quarter. I could bring it back in November, just like my normal budget amendment. But if we were to make these kind of changes, I would probably bring something back early, just so that it doesn't look funny all year when I'm giving you my quarterly reports, that it just looks off, you know, so we can do those at any time.
Okay. I'm just trying to think about if we can do that and we suspect that the revenues are going to come in, why wouldn't we hire the officer now? And if the revenues come in, we make the cuts. If the revenues come in, then we adjust those to reflect the new revenues.
I think part of the reason for that is we're talking about a couple of months difference of whether we let King County know we're hiring the officer in December or February or March. And it's a lot of work if we're going to make these cuts and then at the summit decide we're going to retract them now. A lot of work that we need to do in the budget and administratively.
Okay, so a lot of staff time to do that.
Right.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Debbie?
Thank you. So I have another clarifying question. So we're looking for a little over 300,000 to be able to hire an additional officer, correct?
Correct.
But then we also have an increase in our court costs of about $300,000 from 2025 to 2020. Excuse me, I take that back. That was from 24 to 25. So it's still a little over $100,000 then that we're going to see an increase in 26 over 25. And those are things that we can't control. And so we really don't have any choice. We've got to find that 100,000. Is the goal then that we really have a nugget of 400 that we're looking for, or plus?
No,
plus?
all the other public safety, everything is already accounted for in the budget that we presented you.
Okay.
The issue is we did not include an additional police officer. So if council wants to add a police officer now, before this budget's adopted, we need to find 300,000 to pay for it.
Great, thank you.
Jennifer?
I'm struggling with why we're looking to come up with 300K, because we get a refund every year at, over 200K. And I know we've gone in circles around this, and I still feel like I'm not getting a direct why we can't add an officer using the refund, using the savings in OT, and then funding the 50K difference. Because again, I'll say it, if by some miracle they give us all the cops that we're paying for, then we just say, no, thanks, we've decided not to do the one. So I am struggling with that whole overall
Sure.
thing here.
Yeah, I think I talked to Beth about this a little earlier today. It does look like when we're spending $400,000 on overtime, and Adam can address this a little better. It looks like, well, we can just hire an officer and that'll save us 300,000 of overtime, but that's not, it would actually save us what, 70,000 of overtime?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it's not for.
So.
Right, that
So-
plus the refund.
Right, and so then on the reconciliation, do you want to address that, Casey?
And the reconciliation varies every year and it's very confusing. It all depends on so many factors. It depends on the overtime that's coming through. It depends on the special pays. It depends on if somebody's out on a maternity or a paternity leave or.
They've got body cameras in there
yeah.
also, so there's a lot of different things that get put into the same pot. It's really difficult for us to predict it. Last year I thought we would actually get more back than we ended up getting. So it's just, there's a lot of pieces in there that we can't predict, because King County doesn't provide us the information to predict.
But we've
until
gotten
it comes
over
in.
200K the last 3 years. So that's where I'm, at least what we've been told, 231K is what we got back last year. The year before that, 421, the year before that, 278. So that 300K minus 230K is 70K.
Yeah.
And that's overtime. You see where I'm going? Like, I am
totally,
struggling
yeah.
with this.
So that could totally be done. For us on the staff level, it's a hard thing to budget for because we don't know what that reconciliation is going to be until later in the year when we get it. So we can say, well, the last couple of years it's worked and hope that works again, and it may, but we don't know if it will. So that's why it's hard for us to recommend that to council. We could do it, right? And if reconciliation doesn't come in, we'll have to find some other way to pay for that officer. But we also won't get that reconciliation until the end of next year. And we have to start paying for that officer 10 months in advance. And so that's the other issue with it. So it can be done. I just don't think it's the best way to do it. But as far as reconciliation funds for overtime, yeah, we could, and we didn't include this on the cuts list, but there's 70,000 there that we could use for it.
I want to follow up on that. So overtime, even though if we start paying for an officer now, we're still going to have to pay overtime this entire year, which we won't see back until we get the new officer on. So we're paying pretty much twice.
Yes, we would
for
be
that.
paying for the overtime for the 10 months that we can't fill the spot. So this person will, over the course of a year, take off about 70,000 worth of overtime, somewhere in that ballpark.
But we won't see that till 2027.
27.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But we're gonna get a check now for 2025 here pretty soon
Yeah, I think
for the
we usually get that in
reconciliation.
Yeah, coming until June.
In June, yeah.
If they follow through with past history. Yeah.
Right.
I just feel like we're being too conservative here when we told the businesses we're taxing you a lot. I hear it from the businesses. I'm sure I'm not alone, and they have every right to call us out on it. And I have a hard time saying, oh, well, we have this person that we had before and now they're working on organized retail crime. I mean, that's great. Don't get me wrong.
No, I
but
hear you.
we are getting a hell of a lot more money
Yeah.
than what we are literally putting in front of them. We are not honoring what we told our businesses we were going to do.
Can I, let me just pitch this out there. I totally get where you're coming from, Jennifer. And even if I got $200,000 in our reconciliation, I believe I can cover that additional 100 with the B&O. Not to muddy the waters or anything, there's something else out there.
Yeah, don't give me false hope.
I know, but I mean, I'm gonna give this to you here in a minute, the third quarter reports, but let me just tell you how our B&O is coming in just as of right this minute. So through third quarter, I've received about $1.8 million, $1.86 million. That's just through third quarter. There is some in there, about 180,000-ish, that was past due payments from the prior year. I won't be able to probably count on that, obviously, moving forward, but I'm at $1.7 million if I take that out. So I'm averaging about $525,000 a quarter. Obviously, that's going to fluctuate year to year, quarter to quarter, depending on the businesses and how everybody's doing. That right there is $2.2 million. And I'm only, I was very conservative in my estimates, and I have about 2 million. So that's an extra 200,000 right there. So that could work. I mean, just with the extra B&O that's coming in and the reconciliation dollars, and obviously until we get hopefully all our positions filled one day, but that's got the potential to work.
And what is the overtime that we've had to pay this year to King County?
Our overtime's coming in a little lower this
I mean, not overtime, pardon me, the extra fee that we've had to pay because King County increased the amount that we have to pay each year. Is that an extra?
You're talking about the contract
Just
cost?
The contract cost, thank you,
Right.
sorry.
Right. So what did it increase
Yeah, how many million did that
for
increase?
24 to 25 or 25 to 26?
24 to 25 so far. Or 25 to 26, well,
I
that's
think
fine
it's
too.
700,000, 25 to 26.
5 to 26 is 691,000.
And it was a million something from 24 to 25?
24 to 25 was again another 636,000.
Okay,
So just since the B&O is implemented in 24, we've increased 1.56
The contract was increased.
million.
okay. Christina?
What did we budget for when we, as far as expectations for the B&O collections, when we were budgeting for the B&O collections for this year?
2 million.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Debbie?
Thank you. I just want to go back to the increase that we not only facing, but have already had for the court costs. So while I agree with what Jennifer is saying, that we told the business community we were implementing the B&O tax for public safety costs. If I remember correctly, it was public safety, not necessarily for a police officer, but our costs went up, I think $300,000 since last year for our court costs. So that is part of it. That's not, I still think you're on the right track, but I just want to clarify.
Explaining that to a business,
Well, when we say we're going to
improved public safety is what they were expecting.
right. And what we didn't know at the time,
Totally.
yeah, was what we were going to be faced with all of the edicts coming down from the state and the county on the increases, 200% increase on our public defender rates.
Yeah.
So I'm only saying that in case somebody is, later listens in and heard that we told B&O, we told the community B&O would be for public safety.
It is.
True, but between what our contract increase was for our officers and I believe it was 300,000 increase in our court costs, that's just about what we've collected so far.
But it's our problem to solve.
It is. Yeah.
Casey?
So on our court costs, just to let you know what the numbers are, for 2025, our court costs were 305,000. That's my estimate. It actually only went up about $20,000 for 2026. So I'm projecting 325,000 for our court costs. I think maybe you saw the 300,000, but that's our total budget for next year, the 325.
Thank you. And what was it in 24, if you have
In
that?
24, it was 225,000. So it's gone up 100. That's your $100,000 that you had
Right.
said.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Christina?
I noticed that the city presented revenue options as well, besides just cuts. That would get us to nearly 160. Do we know, I know in the past that if we have like water utility brought to us, or sewer or solid waste, we would have a little chart that just sort of tells us how much, a home would be affected by this. I'm not, I know that's a lot to ask for. But, to collect 160, I wonder what that would cost our residents, because that's a lot of money. And I know we've increased them once. I'm assuming this is an additional 1% increase, just, yeah. I know we've increased that before, not too long ago. But like, if we measure things, would people rather want a park pop-up, or a movie? Because 157, and if we consider all the residents, it doesn't seem like it would be that much per home, but I don't want to, who am I to say? Just something to think about if we're not voting on this tonight, just something to think about, because
Tonight, we're just giving direction to
Yeah.
staff so they can bring back the budget for us on December 9th.
And it would be good to have final direction, otherwise we would need to call a special meeting, which we can do around Christmas time. So it sounds like everybody wants to hire a new officer, and from what I'm gathering from council, there's 3 different ways we can do that. So one, wait until we adopt, if we choose to, 2015, and see what our B&O collections are. That should give us around $900,000 of additional revenue that's not currently in the budget. Second option is to hire with cuts, make some of the cuts that we present tonight, or hire and use reconciliation, excess B&O that we project to receive, and that 70,000 in OT to cover that. I think that
but we won't get the OT.
sums up the different options. We don't know exactly what the reconciliation will be. Past couple years would speak to us being able to cover that cost.
Right.
Right. Yeah, so cut overtime from that. It's really reconciliation and B&O that would need to cover.
So if we were to make the decision to hire the police officer tonight, we would let King County know basically next week. When will we start making payments?
We'd let them know after the budget's adopted.
After the
Yeah.
budget's adopted.
Yeah. We'd probably start making payments in January. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so if we made the decision to hire a police officer tonight, right now we have a fiscally responsible budget presented to us. If we were to hire a police officer and not make any cuts, we're taking the chance that we're no longer having the budget. But we can always make those cuts at the summit if we find out we don't get those.
The
extra
2015 funds.
2015 funds. But
Yeah,
would that create a problem for staff doing it that way?
we can do either of these, any of these options that council wants to do. And it's important to remember that, let's say council's like, let's hire the police officer, let's make that decision tonight. And we'll do it with reconciliation and projected excess B&O that we receive. Council could still decide at the summit to adopt the 2015 sales tax. And then that would mean we don't need to rely on the reconciliation to cover that added police officer from tonight, right? So even if we're not fully, King County Sheriff's Office is not fully qualified to receive that yet, which we anticipate they will be, but if they're not, we could still adopt it and we'd be fined $100,000 annually. So it would reduce our revenue from $750 to $650, but it could still be adopted, right? There's just a fine in there if you're not all the way qualified for it, and they give you that time to get qualified.
How hard is it is that going to create a problem for staff and the community if we made the cuts at our summit in January instead of tonight, but we wanted to make to hire the police officer tonight? Well, we'd be hiring it in December 9th.
I think if council wanted to hire the police officer with cuts to the current budget, it would be best to do it now.
Okay.
I think that would be the preference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beth.
So, my inclination is not to cut any services to Public Works, the mulch and all of that, as we've talked about, like, we need to maintain what we need to maintain. We still need to decide what or if anything would be cut to step increases or COLA. I mean, some of us, I think we already decided one of them, we didn't want to take out the step. Or I'm sorry, we didn't want to reduce the COLA, so so we have staff taken care of, and we could still even add back in step rate or all in part. But I think it's easy in my, let me ask this then. For some of these other community events, because we do a lot in the summer, we do a lot already. And which is great. We probably do more than we need to. Could we always do more? Sure. But I know our staff is, can only do so much. They run around a lot getting ready for all of the events. However, if we cut some of those things out that we talked about, the proposed budget cuts either from what we're discussing on my sheet or from staff sheet, those types of things can always get added in if we have the 2015 funds come through. And I feel like if we're waiting on 2015 and it doesn't happen, if it doesn't happen now, will it, do we have to wait another year then? Like, if that's going to be the pinch point for us to decide if we want to hire another officer, we need to figure out, in my opinion, what we can do with the excess B&O, any budget cuts that are not necessary, but still provide services. Community events, still provide services to parks. I would be inclined for us to add the officer now, make some cuts that certainly could be added later. And if the House bill or HB 2015 comes in, then we can add some of these things back in. To me, is that easier? That's easier to do than to go, oh, let's wait and then cut it later, or what are you thinking?
I think waiting is easier than cutting now and adding back in later.
Okay.
But to speak to your question about House Bill 2015, as long as we adopt it by April 16th, we can start collecting in July.
Right, but isn't there the agents, like, we assume King County is going to be eligible to get that money, right?
They told me last time I spoke to them, they anticipate being accepted mid-December.
A week after.
So
And what about SCORE? Because we have to have SCORE involved in it.
SCORE is working on it currently.
Okay, because we need both King County
Oh.
and SCORE to be
Right.
approved for us to be able to move forward without being fined.
Yeah, and I think all of that I just threw out into the microphone is, are we going to wait till House Bill 2015? Is that going to be the thing that decides whether or not we should add an officer? Because we probably should be doing it already, right? And I mean, maybe, okay, if nobody wants to cut anything, then that's fine too, but
But we can adopt 2015.
Beth? Sorry, Mayor.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, we can adopt 2015. And if King County and SCORE don't get approved, then we would be fined about 100,000 a year. So we're still getting some, but if King County and SCORE do get approved after we've done that,
Then,
do we no longer have the fine?
correct.
Okay, so we would
Yeah.
just be the pioneers of it.
Yeah.
so we'd get whatever money we get, but.
In fact,
King
King County's talked about that too, is let's just implement it right now before we get accepted, because we know we're going to get accepted and we'll pay the $100,000 fine, right?
Right.
But to speak to your assessment about what's the easiest kind of administratively, budgetarily to do, I would say if council wanted to hire the officer now, using reconciliation and B&O to do that would be the way to do it. But we wouldn't want to rely on the B&O necessarily for future years, but we anticipate it next year. We don't know following years. So it would still be good to discuss House Bill 2015 in the future to retroactively use that.
At least B&O would get you so that you could
Get the officer next year.
get the officer,
Yeah,
get it going, and
Yeah.
then we could always implement the HB 2015 after we discuss it at the summit.
So basically, we rely on the rebate, B&O tax for next year. Not do any cuts, and then, but we have to do the 2015 be able to take care of it moving years forward.
Yeah, I think, you know, and this is a conversation for the summit as well, but with the increases we've seen going up millions and millions of dollars in just the last few years, with costs that we don't control, we need to find a way to pay for that. If council didn't adopt the B&O, the city would absolutely be off a fiscal cliff right now and not be able to pay for public services and a lot of our programs that we provide. So the fact that we have that, and then this new tool with House Bill 2015, that sustains us for many years out into the future.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Anybody else? Debbie?
So what's the proper procedure for this? Can one of us make a motion, or do we just kind of do a thumbs up that?
We're just giving direction tonight, so we don't need to
Okay.
make a motion. We would do that.
You don't, but if a council consensus to let us know where you're at.
So is there council consensus to move forward with hiring a police officer using the annual rebate and the B&O tax extra for next year, with looking at 2015 funds come the summit? Does council wish to put that into the budget that comes back to us on December 9th? We have a thumbs up. Okay, we have 7
Okay.
consensus.
We'll
Do
do
that.
it and get it out to you. And in the
Great.
meantime, if you need anything, just let me know.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our discussion on the budget. That budget will come back to us for final vote on December 9th. So thank you. Thank you all for a very good discussion. Next, we'll move into new business. Item number 1, introduction and overview of a franchise agreement for Easy Fiber Texas LLC. I'll turn that over to Selena.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight we are introducing a franchise agreement with Easy Fiber Texas LLC, also known as Easy Fiber. It's a newer broadband provider expanding across Washington, and their goal is to install full fiber optic network in our community. They're building out. Several cities in the region are looking to extend the same level of investment here. Their construction would occur in phases, neighborhood by neighborhood, with service becoming available as each area is completed. And I just want to pause there too and just let the council know, I know we're getting a lot of these franchise agreements in, and staff is meeting with each one of them individually to get better senses of what they're planning to do. So I also want to take a moment and introduce Austin Christofferson. He oversees government affairs for Easy Fiber and is here this evening. Should there be any questions I am unable to answer about their business. So moving forward on the franchise agreement, this is a standard non-exclusive telecommunications franchise. It sets the expectations for how the provider operates in our right-of-way over time. And the reason why we want to do franchise agreements is that they give us predictability. They provide framework for construction and restoration safety and coordinating with future capital projects. As I've shared before, companies don't need to have a franchise agreement to come in and do this work. They could come in under an individual right-of-way use permit. But when a project is this expansive and this large, it is really a preferred option that we kind of look at this more as an overarching project and having some baseline requirements in place so that we're not project by project, plan by plan, having to evaluate these. And it also is a benefit to the industry as well. And so what the franchise then allows us to do is that we now get to look at their larger plans on a broader perspective that a right-of-way use permit does not allow us to do. And then we get to work with them around their long-term plans, how their systems fit together, how their systems fit in with other systems. And really those cumulative impacts go from the city having to microscopically manage them to the industry having to manage them and then working with us. So I think it puts the responsibility back where it should be, in my professional opinion. And so having that ability to govern those long-term operations is really helpful for us. We have been working with Easy for a while. Before they actually submitted, they did some pre-work with us and got familiar with our design construction standards and our codes. We provided them the franchise agreement. They've come back with no substantive changes to that. And so as it's presented tonight, if there isn't any major changes, this is what would come back on the consent agenda, the December meeting. I also want to just mention too that the franchise doesn't guarantee build out. The market will depend that. For Easy will make that decision for themselves. But what it does is, again, it gives us that baseline when they are ready to come in for their permit at whatever scale that is. We've got some baseline requirements around that. I also want to pause. I appreciate the public comments tonight. I did a quick scribble of the requested action items, which I'll go back and look at more detail. But I do want to say that a majority of those that were requested tonight, which are really great to point out, are already in our right-of-way use permit requirements, which which any fiber optic or user of our right-of-way has to go and comply with. And they're also in our design and construction standards. And then we do have signage code around certain aspects of projects when they go out to do construction, the kind of signage they have to do. The one thing that I do want to look into, and we'll talk with Easy and our attorneys about this, is if there is something around maintenance of some type of outage information. That's not really something we've managed for those utilities. They tend to do that themselves. And I will also say, and Don can speak more to this if we need to, we have been talking with each one of them, of these franchisees, around the ability to tap into the systems that they're putting in so that we can have services potentially to other areas in the city for city buildings. That was a lot. I'm going to pause there. Austin, is there anything you want to add quickly? And then I'll hand this back over to the council.
No, thank you, council, for having us. I want to say the partnership with city staff, namely Selena and Dawn, have been amazing throughout this process. We are actually based out of our Washington offices is actually based out of Kent, so we are neighbors. We're super excited for the opportunity to potentially come to Covington. I do also want to say, in response to that public comment, we do have a 6-step construction notification process for residents. That includes mailers to door hangers. There's 6 steps prior to construction that the residents will be notified. In addition, we also do provide signage around the construction site that discusses a construction number, what is that also has a QR code that talks about what are we doing, and all of that. We're super excited to work with the city, and I just want to highlight one more time, it's been an absolute pleasure working with your staff.
Thank you, Austin. Does council have any questions for Jennifer?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Selena, for addressing the public comment. And also when you do, I know you were just taking notes when you actually do the gap assessment, if you could circle back with council and let us know, because that was, obviously I don't know anything about this. I rely on you guys, but I thought that was really great feedback. And I do want to ensure that not only are we taking our residents' input, but that we are, especially as we're getting this influx, that we are covering all of the bases that we need to cover. So we don't have kind of these janky agreements that we're looking at, 20 years from now, that's too bad we didn't put that in there. So.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. Anybody else? Yes, Beth.
Appreciating the agreement aspect of it, as we've talked about with development agreements, and to provide some consistency and some level of expectation for the future. Also wanting to ensure that impact to the communities is something that's definitely considered when this construction happens, when it happens. Ideally, if they could go in at the same time, if there's multiple carriers, because it can be quite disruptive to a community to have this type of infrastructure put in, and we're dealing with that somewhere else right now, not fiber optics. But so making sure that we're taking care of our residents in that regard as well, because it is their homes. It's the place they go after working a hard day to try to find some repose, and we don't want them to have to constantly be navigating construction. Thank you.
Debbie.
Well, I just had a question similar along that line. If we had, say, two or three or four franchisees, they're going to coordinate their start date through the city, correct?
Let me back up and I'll let Austin jump in if I'm incorrect here. My understanding and how these will work, we can have 15 franchisees, right? We could have 15 franchise agreements. That does not guarantee that that provider is going to be everywhere within the city. My understanding, having been working with the industry on this the last, few months, is that sometimes it's a first come will be in that particular area. So if we've got 3 franchisees, not all 3 of those fibers may go into the street in front of your home. You may only get one or another, depending on, again, the market and their desire and how they move through that. So I think that's kind of a broader step back. So then when we talk about coordinating start dates and times, the city doesn't really get to dictate, well, you have to start on this day, you have to start on that day. But where the franchise allows us is kind of what we even did with the Lake Point project. We had a water project going on. We had a sewer project going on. We had another, a couple other little we had a PSC project going on. All of those were going down Timberlane Way at the same time. Okay. So what having all of that information as an example, that allowed staff to then bring all those groups together and then coordinate that start and how we're going to work together, and also what that restoration is going to look like at the end and the beginning. And so it's kind of a long answer to your short question. But yes, it allows us to look at that broader piece by having the franchisees. And then when they start to apply for their permits, it does allow us to then make some pauses when we start to see those permits come in, which is way easier to do at a franchise level than it is at an individual permit level.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anybody else? I just want to give my thanks to EZ. Several months ago, there was a issue brought up to me, and I shared it with EZ, and you guys jumped on it immediately to clear the air. And that type of response was greatly appreciated. So thank you for that. And it was all unfounded. So it was perfect.
Of course, thank you, Mayor. We want to work with you all. I want to also just hop on and say, if there is a project, or if when we are in the permitting stage, if there is something of like a PSC project, whatever it might be, we are more than happy to jump on the schedule that the city wishes in regards to that. Honestly, it's preferred that we build together and not one after the other. So
thank you, Austin. Do you need anything else from us tonight, Selena?
No, council, this will just come back on consent, and then I'll do the requested gap review.
Great.
Thanks.
Austin, thank you for being here tonight. And thank you, Selena.
Thank you.
Next is new business item number 2, the 2025 third quarter financial reports. Casey.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see if this comes up. There we go. Okay, so for third quarter, I'm just gonna bypass the first page and just jump right into our major revenue sources. So we have our property tax. Through third quarter, we've received about $1.7 million, and that's about 54% of our budget for the year. Our second half will receive actually we're receiving it right now, October, November, that we'll receive the other half of that. So everything's looking good, coming in on time. For the real estate excise taxes, and also coming in strong this year, third quarter collections are at 118% of budget, 884,000. There were 44 new home sales through third quarter, 161 existing home sales, 3 building sales, and 7 lot sales through September. And the average existing home price was a little over 630,000. And the average new home price was 845,000. So for our retail sales and use taxes, for the unrestricted sales tax, collections are about 82.4% of budget. So again, coming in strong. I'm analyzing the November numbers that we got that would have been for September. And it looks like we maybe seen a little bit of a bump, and I'm thinking that was because the Buckley Bridge was closed in Enumclaw, and we heard a lot of people were coming to our Costco. So I've been kind of keeping an eye on that. I was coming to this Costco, couldn't get over the bridge. So comparing each quarter or each category to the third quarter of last year shows that our retail was actually down just a little bit, 1.3%. Construction was higher by 3.3%. Our food services were higher by 6.5%, and all other categories were increased by 7.6%. Of course, our retail is our largest category. That's not the one that we want to see lower, but we did see increases in our other categories. Our total collections for HB 1406, we're at 63% of budget. It's on a little bit of a different calendar than our normal sales tax collections are. This is a sales tax that we receive a portion of from the state. So that's why you don't see it at that 82% like our other sales taxes, like the 1590, which was also at 82% of budget for collections. And then the street fund, the TBD sales taxes, it shows that it's at 69% of budget. And that's just because we, when we implemented it, we didn't start getting our actual cash coming in until March, even though we implemented it January 1st. So once I accrue those last 2 months of the year back into 2025 that I receive next year, in January and February for November and December's collections of this year, we'll pop right back up to budget. We'll be good. For utility taxes, again, third quarter, we are up. Our collections are at 84.6% of budget. I will mention we are still seeing a little bit of a decrease each year in our cable utility taxes. It's just generally been decreasing down, probably as more folks are continuing to maybe drop cable services and stream services. And then the difference for swim in 2024 versus 2025, why you see a dip there is, not that I expect you to remember, but we had a huge one-time influx of cash from BPA last year. So we had to pay utility taxes on that money that came in. And so it's just back down to kind of normal rates now. And then business and occupational tax, again, we kind of touched on this earlier, but through third quarter, excuse me, we're at 1.2 million. The third quarter collections weren't included in here because they weren't expected until October 31st. But year to date, we've received 1.865 million. And again, like I mentioned, about 183,000 of that was past dues from 2024 that we brought up to date. So we brought in just for 2025 collections, 1.682 million. And we're averaging about $550,000 a quarter. So for our interfund loans, we have a couple of outstanding interfund loans. We have 3 for CIP 1201 and 1127, CIP 1202, and CIP 3008. We've approved a little over $5.7 million in loans, and we've transferred year to date a little over 2.5 million, and the balance available is 3.1 to still distribute if they need it. And there's multiple expiration dates, a couple in 2026 and then one all the way out in 2027. For the general fund, our operating revenues were at 83.4% of budget, so over our expectations for this time of year. And our total expenditures were 67.8. I wanted to just mention a couple of the departments that show that they are over kind of the 75% threshold that we would expect to see third quarter. City Council is one at 91.4%, and that is because you have some one-time things that happen in the beginning of the year, some dues, the skip construction funds that are a large chunk of funds. Those come out in the beginning of the year, and so it just makes you kind of look a little bit over all year, but you're right on target. And then same with central services, we have some, it's at 87.7%. We have some one-time insurance funds that go out for WCIA at the beginning of the year, so it kind of skews the numbers for the rest of the year. All right, for public works. So for public works, It's the streets and the swim fund. So for streets, our total operating revenues are at 71% of budget for third quarter. We have a couple of our revenues that are in there. There's not a lot of revenues in the street fund, but the ones that are in there, a couple of them are down. The Comcast franchise fees are down. They're at 70.8% of budget. And the gas taxes are down at 70% of budget. And those are, that's the state shared revenue that we get, the gas taxes, and it's down statewide. So we're seeing just a little bit of dip there. We are still getting some TBD fees. It's really tapered off. I think we've gotten maybe $500 last month or something like that. So it's finally starting to taper off. All of those folks that had anything outstanding are getting it paid, and I wouldn't expect to see hardly anything come in next year. Our total expenditures, excluding transfers, we're at 71.7% of budget. So the revenues are down, but the expenditures are also down a little bit to help compensate for that. So for the swim fund, again, this is kind of operates in the same line as the property taxes. We're at 64.2% of budget. We expect to collect that second half of the drainage utility fees in October and November. So you'll see that budget come back up for fourth quarter. And then total expenditures, excluding transfers out, we're at 54.8% of budget. So under budget for this time of year. For development services, our total revenue is at 2.3 million or 51.2% of budget. This is an 8.3% increase over 2024. So even though it doesn't look like we haven't hit our 75% benchmark for the year, our expenditures are also matching, are in line with that. They're also at 52.2% of budget. So we're in line. The number of permits for single family residents, we're at 68 compared to 46 in 2024. So we've seen an uptick there. And then we've also seen an uptick in all other permit categories from 317 permits this year compared to 301 in 2024. For aquatics, recreation and cultural arts, our aquatics revenues are coming in strong at 88.1% of budget, and same with recreation. Recreation and cultural arts is coming in at 87.9% of budget on the revenue side. And then the operating expenditures, again, are both coming in under budget. The aquatics came in at 68.8% of budget, and recreation and cultural arts is at 69.2%. We are still seeing, if you see the splash count graph there, it's tiny little print, but we are still seeing a lower splash count versus 2024. For cash and investments, our total cash and investments is currently 46.4 million. It's an increase over 2024. We have a couple of funds that are contributing to that gain, the general fund and the swim fund. The local government investment pool is where we store most of our liquid cash in there. 4.29% is our interest that we've earned on that through September. And we currently have 36.7 million invested. For investments that are outside of the LGIP, we have 9.5 million, and they're all currently invested in U.S. government agencies. For our capital investment program, through third quarter, we've collected just a little over 300,000 in GMA mitigation fees, which are our transportation fees, and 464,000 in park impact fees, 128,000 in park levy fees, and just a little under $400,000 in grant revenue that has come in to help offset some of these projects. For our bonds, I just wanted to mention again, the bonds are going to be paid off in 2027, probably right about the same time that our first Public Works Trust Fund loan will kick in. I know Don will be bringing that back to council for the award of that. And the plan is to still use our REIT funds to pay for those, pay for that loan. And then I won't go over all of the little projects. Well, not little, but all of the projects, unless you have any questions. That is all I had.
Great. Thank you, Casey. Does anybody have any questions for Casey? Jennifer.
I just have a couple short ones. Previously, you've mentioned when going over the sales tax, there was a particular retailer struggling, shouldn't say struggling, has decreased sales compared to previous quarters. Are we still seeing that trend?
Well, I think in total, our retail sales were down just a little over 1%.
But I know you said like Costco was up, so then
Yeah.
that's what made me think is, are we still seeing a decrease in one of our major?
I would say one of our staff members that analyzes the sales tax has been out for 6 weeks, so we're a little behind. on
Okay,
that. So
that's fine. It's not an urgent.
but I would say in the
answer.
next few weeks, we'll get that caught up and I can get that out to you guys.
Okay, that would be great. And then second question, with respect to B&O collections, kind of two questions there. How is it going? You know, or are we getting them? Or are businesses understanding the process? And then the second question is, I know I'd reached out to you about like an electronic funds transfer method of collection versus them drafting a check, because in this day and age, it's an obstacle to getting those in on a timely manner. So for some of our businesses.
Sure. So collections wise, it's going very well. We've gotten out, I would say we only have maybe 30 businesses that we are working with right now to get them caught up. All of our major players in town are on time, paying, not a problem.
Okay.
So collection wise, it's going really, really well. As far as the online portal, we actually just met on this last week with our financial software vendor, Springbrook, and they're still in the process of creating the portal for us.
Okay.
The little bit of a hitch that they have is the version that we are on is being phased out. And we need to move to the new version, which will happen sometime next year. And apparently we already have it. We didn't even know it. Like, it's just another button to click on. But so they're not real motivated to work on a portal for the version that's going away, but they don't have a portal for the version the new version yet either. So we're in a little bit of a limbo. We did get a demo version of the permit track side that was going to be our kind of collection portal, that's how it was, where it was going to go through, which they did for us for free. And that was great. But now we just need to get the two to talk to each other. So that's kind of that's the update. We're just in a little bit of holding pattern until Springbrook helps us out.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Right. Thank you, Casey.
You're welcome.
All right, that concludes new business. Looking at our future agenda, we have our meeting that starts at 7. There's no pre-meeting on December 9th. We will review several items and we'll have our budget there for final approval. So does council have anything they'd like to see on a future agenda in 26? Okay. Let's move on to council staff comments. Start with Adam.
Nothing for me tonight, Mr. Mayor, and everybody have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Adam. Ethan, are you online? Nope. Don.
Nothing else tonight, but hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Selena.
Nothing for me tonight, and have a great holiday.
Thank you. Casey.
Nothing further for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark.
Three things from me, Mayor. 1, happy Thanksgiving. 2, no executive session. 3, no additional comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Regan.
Oh, it's nice having a clever attorney, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just one item. Krista sent an email out a couple weeks ago and then again today to please schedule your time to meet with Jim Reed, our summit facilitator. The sooner the better, then we can get that agenda drafted more quickly and get it out to council sooner. So that helps us put that agenda all together. Jeff and I met with Jim that was yesterday. It was like a week ago. It was yesterday. I presented a list of items that myself and staff have been keeping, and then he'll want to hear anything else that you might have as well. So link should be in your inbox if you need it. If not, let us know and we can get it to you. Great. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Regan. Krista.
I have nothing tonight. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Beth. Christina had to leave.
Okay. Thank you for the updates. And I really want to appreciate the budget process. I know it's been a little bit different this year because we, had to shift some how we do things. So I think the feedback, all of the information that we're getting has been really helpful. So appreciate all the work y'all do. Also, happy Thanksgiving and looking forward to holidays tree lighting on the 6th. That'll be before our next meeting. That's only about a week and a half away. Gosh, where in the world is the time gone? I swear. And also thank you for the reminder on the sign up genius. I'll be meeting with Jim next week. So looking forward to looking forward on that.
Thank you, Beth. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was no Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority meeting last week, so I don't have an update. Otherwise, happy Thanksgiving and look forward to seeing everyone when I get back. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Debbie?
Thank you. I have a question. Maybe I missed this last meeting. Have we seen the sign up go around for the various boards and commissions and whatnot that we serve on for 2026?
That'll come out first part of January, or does it come out?
I think that's usually when it comes out, yeah.
Okay, so for now,
Yeah.
all right.
Your stuff
So,
way back.
Is there something you're interested in? Speak
no,
now,
well, I guess I was.
and we'll hold you to it.
There's an
was
opening on
concerned about
RTC.
the boards that Joe is on and how we're going to cover that. So just might take some.
So the ones through SCA, we have to apply through SCA.
Okay.
And I think there's still some SCA boards still open at this time. So you can, I think, Leah sent that list out, or was it Andy? Somebody from SCA sent the list out of.
I
what's
don't,
still
I
available.
think it was Leah. I'd have to go back and try to find it again. It's been a
I
minute.
think there's like 6 boards and commissions that still have openings available.
Okay. All
And I
right.
think RTC was one of them.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Just a quick update, skateboard, we skipped last week and met today because of some conflicts. And the big thing that came out of that today is the Federal Way link extension is going live on December 6th. Excuse me, it will be their grand opening at 9:30 a.m. They're going to do ribbon cutting. They're planning to have a kind of a street fair theme at all 3 of the South End stops. So that'll be Federal Way, Star Lake, and the Kent Des Moines stop. So the other thing that they pointed out is has been a question about who can patrons call if they see something wrong on the link or actually anywhere on Sound Transit. And so they've given out a phone number that is monitored 24/7, and you can call if there's any issue, whether it's you feel, actually if you feel threatened, they say call 911, but if it's you observe something that's just not going right operationally, or you observe some odd behavior, and I will send this email out to Krista and ask her to share it with everyone. And we're not meeting in December, so I won't have anything to talk about related to that until next year. I wanted to give you just a brief update on the storehouse. Last week, we saw 100 new families. So we did get probably more increase than we thought we would. Managed it very well. That meant that we served a total of a little over 500 families last week. So it's growing, but we also have a record number of food donations. And on Saturday, if you shopped at Costco, you might have noticed that there were pallets all over the place. Well, they had a water main leak, and they just quickly grabbed everything and pulled it out of that area. And then the next step was to call the storehouse and say, how quick can you get here with a truck? Mm-hmm. And we got 30 pallets of mostly diapers and paper products. But, I love that we're on their hotline, call the storehouse.
And it was like mayhem.
And I heard someone tell me Saturday night, and I said, I know why. So, yes. So anyway, we're on their hot button. Love it. So we spent from Saturday all through church on Sunday was the whole church parking lot was full of pallets of stuff. And then all day yesterday, unloading all of that, plus Ridwell had their food drive, which always brings in tons and tons and tons of food. So that's all been sorted. What I find interesting is in the financial report, food services, of all of the categories that are down, food services was at 6% above in a time when we're having, the SNAP issues. No, that was a quarter, and I'm only talking about the last 2 weeks, but it'd be really interesting to see how food services does over this last quarter. Of course, you've got the holidays in there, but it seems like even when times are bad, people still want to go out and eat. And that's good. That's good for our.
DoorDash, I don't know.
Oh, does that include DoorDash? Yeah, but that's still spending money.
Money on-
Yeah. It's still spending more money than you would if you ate at home. So that's good for our restaurant businesses. Lots of businesses in our community, I'm astounded, have come up with great ways to give back to Maple Valley Food Bank, Storehouse, and Vine Maple Place. It's like when you're there today, if they've got a QR code for all three of those service organizations. If you click on that and make a donation of $25, you get $50 off your order that day. So that was great. Dahlia Nails is doing $1 for every purchase or visit, and they're also selling gift cards, and whatever profit they make on those, they're giving to the Storehouse. So our businesses are just really stepping up, and it's wonderful. Thank you. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Debbie. Jennifer?
I just want to say thank you to staff for answering all the questions. I know it probably, you just want to roll your eyes and you don't, and I really appreciate it. And
We don't want to roll our eyes.
you bet not. No, I just sincerely appreciate just the diligence and consideration and thoroughness and the information that's presented to us and made available to us, and the promptness at which, it's delivered. So thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope it's amazing.
Thanks, Jennifer. Joe?
Went to my last RTC meeting, and I think I got so mad I wound up having to miss work for the next 2 days. No, I was starting to feel sick during the meeting, and so I was just sitting there at my desk like this most of the time because I got home, I had 101.7 fever. That was great. So I did miss work last week for a couple days, but I did make sure General Manager Allison was not there, so her chief of staff gave the report, and I made sure to let King County know for at least one last time from somebody from Covington that their plans to add transit in 20 years is unattainable for our community, and making sure that they knew that we had people who needed that transit now, and that not 20 years from now. So had to make sure I got that last one in. As far as open committees, I did find the email there. So the ADS Advisory Council, this is as of the 10th, so some of this might have changed. The Domestic Violence Initiative Regional Task Force, the Emergency Management Advisory Committee, Growth Management Policy Committee, King County Flood Control District Advisory Committee, Local Hazardous Waste Management Program Management Coordination Committee. How does that fit on a business card for that one? The PSRC Executive Board, PSRC Executives Committee, and the Regional Policy Committee all are in need of additional applicants. I would reach out to Robert Fieldstein about that if any of those are still open. I'm sure there'll be something. I haven't heard anything. I also haven't heard anything about a PIC meeting in December yet, but I will find out. I may drag Christina to that with me, just as a way to get you all the information, because if we're having it, it's going to be after the last council meeting. But I will let you know when I hear. Couple things. Someone please tell Jim Reed how much I appreciated him and how much I will miss his meetings. I really enjoyed every meeting with that man. He just had a way of letting you tell stories and him being able to give you the best summary of what you just said. So someone please pass along my love and appreciation to him. SEC or SCA annual meeting next week. I'm looking forward to that one. thank you, Debbie, for being the voting member of that, because I sure don't want to do that. I appreciate it. And then two last things. The Kent Education Association is doing a food drive in November and December, and our food drive is benefiting the storehouse. That is well, not every teacher, but the majority of teachers in Kent, the majority of schools in Kent, Covington, Renton, Black Diamond, we are all donating food to make sure that our community here in Covington can be fed and ensure that they have everything that they need. So I think that's amazing because we're one of the largest school districts in the state, and we're making sure we're focusing on Covington. So I'm very appreciative of the people I work with. And then if anyone has any good recommendations to how to make myself not go crazy as I drive over the pass tomorrow twice to get my son and then come back. If anyone has any good recommendations on how I don't go crazy, because I don't like traffic, I don't like driving over the pass, and I sure don't like spending 4 hours in the car one way and then 4 hours back in one day. So I've got a few of them.
Christmas music.
Ooh, nope.
Neil Diamond.
Oh my God.
I could probably do Neil Diamond, but I can only probably do that for about 2 hours.
Sing for 2 hours straight.
Thank you, Joe. First off, some, I guess, business. We have a commission member on the youth council that we appointed over a year ago, Amara Rihanna, and has not shown up for a single meeting and does not return staff's comments or calls, outreach, emails. So we're with council consensus to remove this person from the youth council. So, okay. Yeah, it's always unfortunate to do that, but yeah, I'm sure something has come up and they're just not available to make it. I will miss the annual meeting for SCA, and which means that since you're not going to be on PIC, Christina, maybe if she'll step up, and we'll have to have an alternative, or in January we'll have to fill the PIC positions. SCA board, I have decided I am going to throw my name in to run on the SCA board. I've already submitted that to Robert. It's been several years since I've been on it, and I figure since Joe's not going to be able to be on it, I will throw my name back in. And I did tell them I have no desire to be president, but I'd be happy to be treasurer for as long as they want me to be. Tree lighting next Saturday, like Beth brought up. PSRC executive board is Thursday the 4th. And some good news. Well, first off, I want to thank council for moving forward with putting another police officer into the budget. I know we haven't voted on that until next council meeting for the final budget, but it's just doing what's right and what needs to be done. I worked with Councilmember Reagan Dunn for some requests. And in the past King County budget, he was able to, we're still working out the final details, but he was able to get us $135,000. I requested $135,000 for security cameras for Covington Community Park, Jenkins Creek Park, and the Aquatic Center. So that has been approved.
Awesome.
Yep, so it gets all three.
That's great.
I also asked for funds for the storehouse, and he is getting us $15,000 next year for food for the storehouse. Always ask big, go home, take what you get. I asked for a large sum of money for capital funds for the storehouse, and we're getting $200,000 for capital.
For the building. That's
For the
great.
building.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. So if you don't ask, the answer is no. So, and I don't have a problem being told no. I have 3 girls. But so that is all I have tonight. So that moves into our second public comment period. Speakers will state their name, organization, and whether they are a Covington resident. Comments are not directed to city council, not the audience or staff. Comments are to be related to city business. Comments are not intended for conversation or debate. and are limited to 4 minutes per speaker. For attendees participating by Zoom, click the raise hand button. For attendees participating by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand. Once the city grants permission to speak, press unmute in Zoom or dial *6 to unmute by phone. And one thing before I start that, I want to say thank you to Councilmember Reagan Dunn for making all that possible. Forgot that. Should never forget thanking Reagan Dunn. So, is there anybody in the audience wishing to address council this evening? Is there anybody online wishing to address council? Please raise your hand. Seeing nobody approach the podium and nobody raising their hand, we do not have a executive session. This meeting is adjourned at 8:30.